Going live, going live, going live. Where's my live? Come ye, come all. Welcome everybody. See if anyone pops on first before I start speaking about what's going on. If not, I'll just go into it. If you're just coming in, welcome. I'm going to be discussing kind of what's coming on. There's a lot of stuff flooding through, a lot of information coming on about what's happened in the past about 24, 48 hours, and what to do moving forward through this time. So, first off, welcome. If you are just coming in, please click the thumbs up button. Greatly appreciated. So, hello Millie. Over the last 48 hours, there's been a big collective shift that's happened. So, essentially, on February 1st, so we had the 2-2 portal opened up, and there was a lot of divine feminine frequencies that came through, and really, hey Dorothy, I was just talking to Dorothy. There's a lot of divine feminine energies that came through on February 1st starting, and this was the anchoring of the Christos Sophia energies that have landed and really anchored in Terra Nova. It really anchored in the new earth for us. Now, what we've been going through some pockets of density that has been happening at multiple layers and multiple levels for quite some time. So January 1st, like the 2020 start towards our new earth build out, really brought forth a level of clearing that needed to happen collectively. Many different narratives that have been cleared and many different timelines. To begin starting with it is too much to even go through. A lot of it has been war narrative, more held within the masculine, a lot more distortion with violence that's keeping us from the unification process. Once again, all the things that have been coming forward starting in 2020 is all about unity. This is what we really need for the New Earth build out and to really anchor in and get this honed in has been unification. So anything blocking us from unification, it has been shifted out for the most part. Now, as we know, there's always layers to this stuff and it's going to take some time. But what happened over the last 48 hours is we finally had this big breath, it feels like, where our head's above water and we just moved out a big distortion and really focusing more on self-love and what our journey is about and what our individual purposes and our individual passions are. A lot of this focus recently has been on what do you love to do? What brings you joy? And how can you do that every single day and love what you're doing in life? What is really going to anchor in New Earth quicker for us is living in our joy. And then, of course, sharing that joy with the world, however that may be. So what we're finding, too, is we're now having to retune and refocus the way we go about doing things. So a lot about New Earth for us is having to do things in a completely new way, restructuring our lives. This is all how the foundational experience is. We built some really strong foundations in 2019, but as we move through these corridors and these gateways and we're building out more and more new, we have to do things in a completely new way. So for us, it can be very simple, like just going to a new area to do your work, showing up in different ways, being an angel every single day. That's been the biggest focus for me is, okay, how can I be an angel today? How can I be an angel in my day-to-day? And it's through the small gestures and the big gestures that we can be angelic in our angelic presence. How does that look? Helping out someone, opening the door for someone, smiling, sharing your wisdom with the world and sharing your light with the world. A lot of this right now, so what happened was there was still a lot of density and mud that had to get moved through to land at this point, and through this 2-2 gateway, we've now lifted it all off in the last 48 hours, and we're feeling it more and more. The thing is that to be able to keep this forward momentum moving as it's being shown to me, Now, hold on, let me backtrack for a second. First off, everyone's going through their own process of integration. So your integration may take a little bit longer depending on what you've had to move through and shift through density wise. So for us, we had all of January, we were pretty much in bed. All of January was pretty much spent just resting and shifting through and allowing the new restructuring to happen within. And a lot of that is through the cellular purge and the reconnection of our light fibers within. That's causing to change our diet, change our rest. And Millie, thank you for mentioning that you've been purging nonstop. This is the new way that we're going to be building out now. We're going to be in a constant cycle of purging, cleansing, purifying, and integrating. So what we're doing is we're trying to find you got to find your formula that's going to work for you to be able to work through this stuff. And in your moments when the density lifts and you're feeling really good and really sure about where you're at, what's been helping us is to start to engage in the reciprocity of going out and blessing other people in whatever way, shape, or form you can. Spreading that heart-centered joy is really going to help. Oh, thank you so much for the donation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Willow Pillow. I'm sending you waves of love and light right now. Thank you. So what's happening is as we are going about doing little things that we can to help others, we're also now filling ourselves up. Like basically, right now, your acts of light and miracles that you can drop around the world, however that may look for you, is going to help so much in keeping the forward momentum. Like since we have this liftoff, it's everyone's in a different phase. So like for us, we're doing things in a completely different way. Samantha and I are doing, so we do Uber Eats now. And as we're doing Uber Eats, I'm doing grid work. And that's our way of being able to do things. So tonight we went through and connected a lot of the tree network here in San Antonio. For about the past 3 nights, last night we didn't do any grid work because we were called not to. For the nights before that, we were clearing a lot of distortion from the streets here that was kind of keeping things kind of heavy here. And so for us, what we go about doing is before we're going out, we connect, we energetically align and balance, and then we call forth Christ's light, and we just anchor that wherever we go, and we just kind of allow ourselves to become a portal or a beacon for that, and then we go out and we just kind of engage and bless. And the thing is that the more that we start to engage in this, the more that energy gets reciprocated back to us, and it's easier to stay in that forward momentum of joy. While we're going through the purging and cleansing period, if you're going through, like, we went through a kind of a collective dark night where everyone was going through their own crud, and the levels and layers of it are still going to lift off depending on how much work we've done, so on and so forth. I can't say that this experience is going to go for every single person in the collective because we're all moving through different densities at different times. But if you feel this pocket of joy right now, what my guides were telling us to do is to just kind of go for it. Not pedal to the metal to the point where you drive yourself into the ground, but a balanced way of resting and taking that action, but just being an angel however you can, and allowing that to fill you up and change your perspective to that highest thought form so we can start to manifest more good things into our reality. So right now, our guides, our teams, you know, we've got many wonderful masters that are assembling right now to assist in this, brought this forward so we can all shift our mindset to the highest vibrational set point so we can really invite in more magic into our life. And so for us, the self-care, you know, through this time, there was a lot of moments where it took me 2 to 3 hours to pull through a pocket of density, where like I had to sit down and listen to my own activations and do really deep, heavy energy work to pull myself out. And now it's just about suiting up and showing up in that angelic presence and just being that authentically and allowing that to bring about auspicious opportunities into my world. It's a very interesting time because I felt this lift off about 48 hours ago. And it really picked up today, and then I just got blown up by people talking about the amount of joy that they're feeling in their life and a lot of surety. It's right now we're like getting our power back. We know we can do this. And that's kind of the focus right now, is to really, like, if you're getting that green light that you're okay and you're safe, keep rolling with it, because right now we are helping so much by our joy. We're holding that frequency to allow the rest of humanity to lift up. But best believe Terra Nova is here. Oh, hi Chelsea. I miss you. Please, let's talk soon. Terra Nova is here. New Earth is here. We're just allowing it to formulate in whatever way, shape, or form. And the other thing too is that there may be pockets of density in your area that needs to go for it to fully anchor and to see it fully. And so right now, like tonight we've been connecting with the trees, and they are so happy. Like the tree kingdom is so beyond grateful for everything going on right now. And this is something that you can do as well. Like if you're called to just kind of be, and you want to go out and you're doing nature walks and connecting, go up to a tree and call forth Christ's light into that tree and just anchor that in. Imagine the tree being enveloped with this golden, beautiful light and watch it glow and reconnect that tree and then connect that tree to the crystalline grid. There's other ways of being able to do this too. I actually may put up a little thing on how to connect the tree network to the crystalline grid into the primary ascension timelines, so we can be able to anchor more of that new earth frequency in your area. But the reason why you might not be fully feeling the new earth frequency is because, once again, there may be some dense pockets in your grid that need to be reconnected. And so if you're being called to like really take it easy right now and not do a lot, find joy in your spiritual practice, whatever that may be. So if you're going and you're walking, you're connecting to the trees, go touch a tree, anchor some light into that tree, and allow that area to ascend. That's what I mean about being an angel wherever you can go. Is have fun, with whatever you may be doing. Like this transition period, as it was told to me, we have a choice during this activation, this download through our transitions. We can either live it in joy or we can live it in misery. And there are those moments where we have to shift through stuff and we're working through things where it's not so glorious and bright, but we really do have a choice to make it joyous or to make it miserable. The choice is ours. And the idea is that we can always pull through that density and work our way back up as long as we start to focus of what is our joy. What is our joy every single day? What inspires us? What makes us happy? What really ignites your soul? And to be really present with yourself and present with your daily practice that is going to really offer that self-love to yourself. As we've noticed, 2020 has been, a lot of the topics have been self-love. We noticed the self-love topic coming up starting on 11/11. There was more of a focus of self-love, and we're noticing that more and more now coming through. It's extremely important to love yourself unconditionally, and something that my brother Mark told me to do, because him and I had a great talk the other day, was to not be so hard on myself and to just be super simple with myself for 3 days to see what happened. Well, the first day, yesterday, I had some things pop up where I started to beat myself up a little bit. And when he told me when I start to beat myself up to write it down. And so I started to journal. And then I noticed that it can be really, it seems to be a lot more simpler in my subconscious mind to kick the crap out of myself than it does to treat myself with love and kindness. And so practicing this now has really helped to elevate my joy, but I'm also starting to see it reflected, back to me through other people, and just showing up and sharing those moments of joy with others unconditionally, because it kind of just feeds into this loop that just gets fed back to me. And it's been inspirational, kind of focusing on this, just being myself unconditionally, because I do have some habits and some things about me that aren't so pure and sacred. But when I enjoy those moments and laugh at it and enjoy myself authentically as I am unconditionally, it helps. It helps. I feel like there's so much judgment that can happen when we start to land in the purification process and what is pure, what is sacred, especially if we really dive into it and take our spirituality super seriously like I have. Sometimes we can end up beating ourselves up for being human. And so the idea is we're having a human experience, okay? We have earthly pleasures and things that we get to enjoy. Some of these earthly pleasures have come about and have created distortion and ripples in the collective, and we don't want to keep feeding those distortions and those ripples. But there are some things that we are meant to enjoy because that's why we're here. Good foods, things like love, enjoying things like sex. We're gonna go a little taboo here. but not judging ourselves for having human needs and human wants, but being able to look at it greater with if it's feeding into an old realm, if it's feeding into an old paradigm, or if it's upholding something within that is still distorted, looking at that, but not judging ourselves. So the idea is to really like just be you unconditionally and radiate that. Because once we start to just be ourselves authentically, unconditionally, no masks, nothing, what happens? We start to attract people that are exactly like us. And we start to attract our tribe. Our tribe is just it's a perfect energetic match. But in order to invite in the tribe, we have to be ourselves authentically. We have to share that in whatever way, shape, or form that might be for you. It might not have to be on a social media platform, but it could be just you day to day showing up as yourself authentically and being able to invite in more of that. That's going to help with the unification piece. We're going to start to find like-minded people, people that are a vibrational match. You might even find yourself being called to a new area, as I know some people who are on here right now are in the midst of a move. You might be you being you authentically might land you in a new zone and in a new environment. This is the beauty of it. It can be difficult to be ourselves authentically at times. Okay, it can be difficult because there's fear of judgment. There's things that we have to work through. As soon as we start to be ourselves authentically, the universe will start to show us our limiting beliefs, reflected back to us through others. And so what will happen is we be ourselves authentically, and then all of a sudden all this stuff starts to show up that's telling us not to be authentic. Why? Because we need to move out that distortion. We still have programming held deep within that we're letting go of now. But the idea too that's really coming through right now, because I'm just kind of reading the collective in this field and what's coming through, is also misery. The focus of misery, and this has been a focus for me, is that there is sometimes for those of us that come from very, very dark places, and I know for a fact there's a few people in here right now that can resonate, because I know who's in here right now, and I love you guys unconditionally. But there was a time and a place where our misery, we saw Dorothy, I calling you out, and a few others in here too, and myself, calling myself out. There was a time where we got attention for our misery. So what would happen was we would drop into this dark zone, and we would plead our cries for help, because someone would come and would tell us, you're loved, you're safe, you're da-da-da-da-da, to make us feel better, okay? And so then our vibration would pop up. We'd feel good about ourselves, but then we stopped receiving that attention. So what did we do? We dove back into the misery to try to get that attraction again. Well, the idea is that here in New Earth, we're not victims, okay? While there's always support here around, I'm glad everyone's this is awesome. Who's commenting? Because I was calling you guys out exactly because you're my people, and I know you because I know myself. Is that here we're not victims anymore? Okay, so the stuff that happened to us, not always necessarily our fault. There was some great tragedy that happened to us, and the idea is we need to shift our focus. It happened for us because it taught us a very great lesson. And in those dark nights, we have the opportunity to clear that stuff out, but we pop back up. Those habits of like misery, because we want someone to come up and to tell us that we're safe and we're supported and we're loved. The idea is that was feeling a narrative of a victim-victimizer style program, and a misery complex that was creating self-sabotage within us, where we could never fully succeed and could never fully get out of the darkness, because there was great love that we found in the darkness. In our deepest and darkest moments, that's when the hero came in, right? It's very much so the white knight. It's very much so that another hero complex is that in that dark time, someone comes in and saves us. Well, what we recognize is we save ourselves. We save ourselves, and we pull ourselves out of it. And yes, there are always going to be people that are going to be there to support you unconditionally, and that are going to help to pull you out of it. So you're not there alone. But if you've been feeding into a loop of where you're constantly doing that because you're getting attention, it's time to look at that. It's time to look at that. And I didn't expect to come in and talk about this. Once again, I'm reading the field and who's in here, and I know there's going to be other people that resonate with this, because it's something that I'm working through myself. Is that in those dark nights, we got to stop fueling that narrative, because we may not have to step into that dark night anymore. We don't have to dive into that, because there's nothing down there for us. You know, there's always glimpses of treasure and hope in that dark night that we step into. But the idea is that now we don't have to go deep down with that like we used to, because it's still feeling an old narrative where we can't just pop up and succeed and stay up here. It's very much so, I see it as kind of the bipolar frequency. And with that, we can end up stepping in the way of, stepping in the way of our own success. We can also be stepping in the way of our own desires and our own dreams, because we're still working through that cycle. And if you keep going through the cycle, it's okay, no judgment. You know, I still have my moments where I doubt myself, and I drop in and I want someone to come in and save me. But the idea is that we're the ones that are doing the saving. If you're here right now and you're watching this, you came here to be the savior. You came here to be the savior. And you can be saved, you know, and I'm not talking in some holy biblical, you know, like Jesus Christ is going to come save the day. You can be saved because you have an entire team of spiritual masters and angelic frequencies all around you that are willing to pull you up and out of this. But the idea is we have to look within, to look at that darkness, and why do we keep playing out that narrative? Because it doesn't help us. We kind of get stuck in the same pattern and the same loop. Well, it's time to break out that loop and to break it once and for all. Because it's really time for us to step out and to really live in our joy, and to really save ourselves, and to recognize that we are masters. We are masters. The world and society told us that we weren't. There are a lot of overlays and things that are strung out through society to tell us that we're not powerful, and that we are this and we're that, and they start to label us, they start to diagnose us, they start to put pills down our throats, and then we start to fuel into more misery programs like addictions and things like that, because, you know, that's just the way it works. Or they tell us we're delusional. Okay, what is a delusion? A delusion is us trying to seek expansion and clarity in territories that aren't for our expansion and growth. And then when we go talk to a professional about it, they diagnose it, and then they suppress us, because they know that we have magic. They know that we can see beyond and we can see through. What we're doing is we want to delete the illusion. A delusion, deleting the illusion. We can tell that there's an illusion, and we're starting to see into the crevices of reality that we live in. And as soon as we start to focus that, now we're all of a sudden labeled as crazy. Instead of being supported and going, no, redirect your focus into something greater. Redirect your focus into true expansion, into true heart expansion. Feed that beautiful mind in the right direction and watch it blossom. It's like getting a flower to sprout directly downwards, and it's like, no, the sun's up there. Focus on the sun and rise up. That's what I see, and that's the visual that's coming through about the delusion. Is it's like the seed is trying to grow, and it's growing all different places underneath, and instead of saying that's wrong, what we do is we redirect that to the light, and we allow that flower to blossom upwards, and we watch the roots grow, and we watch this beautiful plant develop as a result of that. So this is really an empowering time for us. This stuff has been cleared off. We can breathe, and if you can't breathe right now, give it a few days, you'll be able to breathe. I can promise you that. And when you do, go out and shine in whatever way, shape, or form that you can. And if you need to integrate for a little longer, do it. A lot of people are stepping off social media right now. A lot of people are really shifting their focus. Whatever it may be for you, focus on your heart, and try not to focus so much on what so many other people are telling you to do. We've got a lot of wonderful, great teachers and masters and beautiful magicians and energy workers that come online, and they share their story, and they share collective messages, they share perspectives, and it's really good. The idea, though, is at the end of the day, all of this is just, it's little points to point out, but at the end of the day, it's your truth that you need to follow. You need to follow your truth in your heart and what works for you. While some people may be spreading out a collective message of like, hey, it's time to rest, it's time to rest, it's time to rest, okay? That might be true for some, but also that perspective on taking time to rest also could be fueling a procrastination program that you hold within, or stopping you from shining your light. So you see what I mean? It's like, the idea is when we start to go multi-dimensional with perspectives, the perspective can always either support or destroy an idea. And so when this perspective comes in, tune in and know if it's either supporting your expansion or it's supporting your bullshit. Okay, and I'm gonna go there right now, is that sometimes when we start to dive into people that are going multi-dimensional and are starting to talk about different perspectives on things, while it's fun to dive into the logic game, and while it's fun to dive into figuring out how this stuff all works, at the end of the day, you need to tune into your heart and know whether or not this advice is supporting your expansion or it's supporting your collapse. It's supporting you from hiding your light. And this is something that's really kind of like come to the forefront over the past few days, is there's a lot of information out there that's really supportive of different perspectives and different ways of being able to do things and look at things in collective messages. But at the end of the day, we're all just sharing we're sharing the way the energy is coming through and the way that we're processing it through our own narrative and through other narratives as well, as we're peering into other realms. But at the end of the day, you got to look at your heart and look at yourself, because every single individual is different. We're all molded differently. We all hold different templates. We all hold different frequencies. And a truth from a very powerful master could save one person and destroy another person too, that singular truth. And this is where, at the end of the day, it's about in your heart and knowing yourself. And so this is what this integration time is, and this self-love and this focus going back within is learning more about yourself, okay? And learning more about your inner workings and what leads for your expansion, what leads for your growth, what leads to your health, wealth, and abundance that you hold within. And then focusing on that and really not making comparisons, not trying to focus too much on what other people are doing, recognizing we all have our role and we all hold our role. So if you look at like a soccer match, okay, every person, it's a team effort, okay, it's a team effort. So everyone serves their purpose. I don't know all the different the different positions in soccer because I don't watch soccer, but the idea is that like while there's, we got people on defense, offense, whatever, working all their different positions. The idea is not to make the different comparisons of who's doing what, but just focusing on what you're doing and knowing that you have a role here and that your role is divinely orchestrated and it's helping out more than you can probably realize sometimes. And not to make those comparisons. I see these people that are super active, making lots of money, and then, I have those moments where I'm just kind of sitting in the dark and going like, what the heck is going on here? Well, at the end of the day, we're all serving our purpose and serving our role. Maybe your role right now is to be the best mother that you can be. Maybe your role right now is to hold space for the collective while there's stuff that's moving through. While another person's role may be, the guy in the limelight that's up there, doing the thing, or the woman in the limelight doing her thing. We all have our roles, and the idea is that we are all supporting one another through our roles unconditionally, and just focusing on your joy is really going to help right now. Focusing on what is bringing you expansion every single day. So for us, it's been really simplified. It's playing my Andaras, playing with my Andaras, connecting with my Andaras, and then doing the tree work thing tonight, that we've been doing with Uber Eats as well. We could look at it in one perspective. Yeah, we're having to kind of quote unquote backpedal as we're now having to do more to make ends meet. Well, no, in another perspective, we get an opportunity to go connect the tree networks. I get an opportunity to do grid work and activate the food. And Samantha and I get to have fun and blast music and be silly. And so that's the idea, is right now as we're shifting things and finding new strategies to get what we need to get done on a day-to-day basis. If you have to go back to work or you have to pick up a part-time job because your energy business isn't making ends meet or whatever, you can go still be an angel in whatever you have to do or being called to do. You can still activate people. Your field is shaping that entire environment. You might be that piece that ends up elevating that entire company, and then actually you might be raising the vibration of that entire store, which is up. Like your presence might be greater than you realize. This is where we don't judge what we're supposed to do, but we recognize that there's an important puzzle piece and treasure found in whatever we have to do every single day. As long as we're living in that joy frequency, we can see that joyful perspective on whatever we need to do. And it's not to bypass the experience, because if you're in a situation that you don't want to be in anymore and you're not living in your joy, you know, you can shift your perspective so long, or you can just shift out of it and move into something new for yourself. So the idea is really knowing truly inside what is right for you, what is meant for you, and just going for that unconditionally and feeling the support. Keeping your mindset positive right now is really going to help, however that may work for you. I have those days where I cannot shift my perspective, okay? And it takes a couple hours to get myself. I had a moment the other day where it took 3 hours of listening to my own activations and doing energy work to get my vibration up. I saw one thing on Instagram and it all came plummeting down, and it took me another hour and a half to get me back up. It may happen, okay? Some days are harder to get out of the mud than others, but it is possible. And as long as you focus in your joy and are utilizing, you are integrating and practicing what you've learned on your ascension journey to be able to shift your focus and raise your vibration, it's going to work. So just keep doing it. Keep doing it. So yeah, you know, right now the numbers that have been popping up all night are 1414, and a lot of that we can look at new beginnings that are to build our foundations, like I've been talking about. But it's also too, like right now is that momentum towards keeping our thoughts, keeping our energy as high as possible, and making sure we are landing in those zones that do not zap our light body. When you are in alignment and you are listening to your light body, you will know if you land in those things that kind of trigger you off, set you off. When you're tuned in and you're in full alignment and you know what it is that brings you joy, find a way to be able to do that every single day, and you're going to notice a great difference in your life. And if you don't know what brings you joy unconditionally, then maybe it's time to tune in and to figure that out. And that process can be done. And so with that, with this self-love thing, it's something I'm adding to Friday. I'm having a clearing and cleansing on Valentine's Day. But I'm going to be doing a self-love piece that I'm going to be doing a self-love piece on the clearing on Friday to call in our vibrational match, whether it be romantic or soul tribe. And so I wanted to come up and talk about that, since self-love has been such a focus recently. I wanted to add that in since I did forget it was Valentine's Day. So good, you know, once we say bye to time and say bye to dates, we forget about all the holidays. I'm like, oh, Friday is Valentine's Day. And Samantha hasn't killed me yet for forgetting about Valentine's Day, so it's okay. But I'll be adding in a self-love piece that is going to help us to attract in, call in our vibrational match, whether it be a romantic partner or just our soul tribe, you know, good friends and family that are vibrating at that same love frequency. So we can be able to, you know, share that more and unify more and find more of our people in our area. So if you want to sign up, go to unifiedmasters.com, click on group sessions, and I have a list of all my group sessions coming up. Friday I will be having, it's a donation-based energy clearing. I will get to that. Thank you, Joya. Joya, can I just hire you as my assistant? I was talking to Samantha about that the other day. I'm like, I'm just gonna hire Joya. Thank you, Joya. I love you so much. Thank you. Hold on. I'll once I'm done with this, I'll read Deborah's question and answer it. But on Friday there will be this self-love piece. It's a donation-based clearing and cleansing. So if you want to come out, there's a link on unifiedmasters.com. Under group sessions, there's a donate link for the February 14th activation. Donate whatever you can, come out. There's not going to be any recording for this. This is just going to be a one-time session. But I will be focusing on the self-love piece and an activation towards calling in our tribe and calling in our people and our romantic partners. So I'm going to read Deborah's question now. Let's see. If your energy breaks situations, what do you mean, Deborah, by that? What does it mean if your energy breaks situations? Like extremely consistency? I want, if you can elaborate on that, I would love to know. Aw, Chelsea, you're my people too. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, Deborah, I'll answer your question for you. I would like to know. because I do. So meaning, does it? By the way, Friday it's gonna be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I've got some galactic shamanism groups coming up too that I'm gonna be doing twice a month now. And I'm gonna be doing twice a month clearings. Who's Mama Pacha? Millie, who's Mama Pacha? And then I'm just waiting for Deborah to respond about what she meant by her field breaking situations. Is she still here? I think she is. So, oh, because you're meant to be a trigger. Yes. Okay, Deborah. So a lot of my life, I've landed in new zones where I would land in and shit would just break apart. No, you're not a homewrecker. And no, you're not a vibe killer. What you're doing is you're activating people to their true potential. So your field is essentially interacting with other people's fields and you're waking them up to their truth. And since you're waking them up to their truth, things start to shake up. So no, it's not anything energetically wrong with you. You're not a homewrecker. You're not anything dark and bad. That is one of your roles. Your roles is to be a trigger. This happened for a greater portion of my life where I would land, I would land somewhere and then all of a sudden, everything would get shaken up around me. Well, it's because I served as a catalyst. So look up Heyoka Empath if you can. It's spelled Heyoka. The story of the Heyoka Empath and the way the Heyoka Empath works is kind of this similar thing. It's basically someone that comes in and wakes people up to their truth. And a lot of us kind of have that within our fields where, okay, so if you resonate with Heyoka, then you are one. And that means that's what you're doing is you're waking people up to their truth, and that's your role. And it's not a fun role because I'm laughing because I've been there where I show up, I'm like, why does everyone hate me? I keep showing up and everyone's just like, ah. Well, it's because your field is strong and you're meant to wake people up. That's what we do as light workers. So Deborah, don't be concerned about it. Just know that there will be a time where that period will end, but that's kind of our role too, is we'll be that catalyst for a lot of people wanted to be another breaker. So I would say release the expectation of what it's supposed to be. Find your next job, go in there and expect the highest vibrational outcome to occur. So also too, we can, if you ever want to, Deborah, contact me for a session. We can look at soul contracts with that too, because sometimes since we have new frequencies here and we're on new earth, we can update our contracts and purify our contracts associated with our light working role and our mission. That can assist in kind of softening this, because I know some of our roles have been kind of destructive for a lot of our lives, where we come in and really shaking things up. And we're now at a time where prime creators okay, guys, we see it. Let's purify your contract, depending on the contract, and if you're ready to do that. So if you want to, yeah, no problem, Deborah, no problem. Let me know. You can upgrade the soul contract. So it's upgrading it to, because once again, 3D, 5D, we're on different terms and conditions now. So we can purify, we can cleanse, and we can upgrade at any point in time. This is also too, we're dealing with karma completely differently now. When we land in a new density, in a new dimension, we work with energies different, and we work with everything different. So karma is different, ancestral karma is different, soul contracts are different, everything changes. And so with that, we can upgrade and we start to interact different until we recognize that karma isn't real. Which I'm not there yet. It's something I've heard and it doesn't resonate yet, so I'm not going to be able to preach about that, but karma isn't real. So anyways, that's all I've got, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. Does anyone else have any questions while I'm here? Is there any other questions? I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to be silly. I'm going to be silly. My nose is so red. Ugh. You do? What's your question, Joya? By the way, if I breathe heavily, it's because I'm not annoyed. I'm sending energy into the group right now. When you go on certain psychic pages, your throat chakra closes up, then don't go on that group. So here's the thing. When I go, Oh yeah, I'll do a little energy work too at the end of this, send some activation to the group. So so there, like, so when I go on Twitter, when I go on spiritual Twitter, there's some pages I go on, and my solar plexus is like, ugh. I just know to stay away from there. It's your body giving you a response saying, just don't go in here. Like, you know, if you put your hand on a hot stove and you go, ow, and you pull it away, it's your mind might say, yeah, just try it again, try it again. Well, you might do that until it really burns really bad. So if you're feeling your throat chakra close up at all, or you feel any tightness in your body if you're interacting on certain pages of certain social media, it's your energy body saying, don't go there. And it's taken a while for me to learn, but there's some, you know, basically